when you get that paycheck, don't just put it towards a debt or put it towards car payments. Don't pay other people first. Pay yourself first and then pay other people. Okay, put yourself first. It's okay. Be a little bit selfish. Pay yourself first and then pay everybody else.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients podcast, sponsored by Cloud Dentistry, Dental Intel, and the Doc site. So please check them out. I couldn't be doing this if it wasn't for them. I'm really excited today to talk to a fellow Tufts graduate. She's a dentist in New Hampshire, and she has a company that's called Doctors Out of Debt. So please welcome to the Raving Patients podcast, Caroline Clerisme. Caroline, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
We actually reached out in March, and due to both of our busy schedules, we've had to cancel so many times. So I'm actually very glad that we're getting to do this. So to begin with, why don't you make a little bit of an introduction about who you are, how you help dentists? I know you have a book that you wanted to talk about as well, but the floor is yours. Let's hear about you. Go ahead.
Yes. Again, I'm sure you guys can hear an accent. I'm originally from Haiti, where it's way warmer, even warmer than now. But anyway, I am Dr. Caroline Clerisme. I am a general dentist in New Hampshire. I'm a wife, a mom. I am also the co-author of Lily and the Talking Piggy Bank, Let's Talk About Money. And I'm also the founder of Doctors Out of Debt. And what I do is I help doctors, and when I say doctors, I mean dentists, physicians, pharmacists. I help them to create generational wealth and get out of debt at the same time. And I have to say, again, I grew up in Haiti where credit cards, debt, student loans, it wasn't a thing at all. And here I am. I graduated from Tufts in 2011, and I had a lot of debt, a lot. I've never seen that number before. And I kept thinking of Susie Orman. I'm sure you guys know Susie Orman. She's a financial expert. She kept saying to never take out in loan more than your salary. So pretty much so for me, I had $250,000 in student loans, and I took a salary making way less than that, meaning less than $100,000. The math isn't mathing when you do something like that. And I kept thinking about Susie Orman, and I kept asking myself, how am I ever going to do this? And I went back to the basics, thinking of what my mom said, to always live pretty much below your means, and also always save something. Don't just spend everything, always save something. And I started implementing a lot of proven debt repayment strategies, and also to have multiple streams of income, and all by implementing all of those things and also changing my mindset, because you cannot be negative, being like, oh my gosh, I'm in debt, my life is over, I'm always going to be in debt, I'm going to die with my debt. You cannot have that mindset. So I had to work on my mindset as well, and be able to pay off the $250,000 in 4 years. And I have to say, it's the best thing ever to be able to have no debt, to not have to be stressed during the pandemic where everybody was stressed about money, because I know I have multiple streams of income, even when I'm not physically seeing patients. It's the best thing ever to have that peace of mind, to be able to bless others, to be generous with my money, with my time, to be able to buy cars cash, to travel. It's just the best thing ever. And I must say, the way you practice dentistry changes when you are debt free. It's so different. I mean, you will never hear me say like, oh my gosh, I wish I was still in debt. Or I wish I still had student loans. Like, who says that? It's just a stress that I'm so happy to not have anymore. And again, my passion has really pushed me to help many doctors really be able to have wealth and get out of debt at the same time. Meaning, when I say wealth, I mean to be able to go from one income to 4 streams of income in just a couple of months, to be able to triple the dentist income in just a few months. It's been the best thing ever.
So just to clarify, you said in 4 years, you paid back $250,000. Is that what you said? So that's really impressive. I had, when I bought my practice in 2007, I had, the practice was about $850,000 I bought. I then bought the building and then gutted the building and renovated the entire building, new equipment, new everything. And it put me about $1.8 million in debt. that I was planning to pay back in 7 years. So my nut, as we call it, was about $18,000 a month. And I know that I paid that off actually in 8 years because I refinanced after 1 year and went to 7 years again to lower my interest rate. And I remember the last payments just from that, it's such a relief off your back because you don't realize, you're paying all this interest, but you can't deduct anything other than the interest you're paying. You can't deduct the principal that you're paying, and you have all this money coming in and you're having to pay taxes on it too. So it's actually even more money that you're losing because of that loan that you have. So it was such a liberating feeling. And I see people on Facebook, on other social media channels posting, last payment made to the loan company. I'm finally debt free. It is a huge, huge advantage when you don't have to worry about debt anymore. So, and I give you a lot of credit for finding finding something here, because most people, they go to a financial advisor and they figure out how to pay off their bills that way or pay off their loans that way. You're not a financial advisor. You're a dentist who helps other dentists and other medical professionals become debt free. So I want to start by asking you some questions here. And I think the most important thing you said is that you have to have the proper mindset about getting out of debt. So you can't live above your means. You have to live a certain lifestyle to be able to pay that off in a much faster clip. So can you talk about some of the things when it comes to the mindset that someone has to have? Because people are listening to you. I guarantee 85 to 90% of the people listening to this are saying, my God, I have all this debt. What do? I want to be like her and do what she did. So can you talk about the mindset?
So again, for the mindset, you cannot be angry, because when I graduated from Tufts, I was angry. I was confused. I was frustrated because I said, how am I ever going to pay that off? And again, I took a job making less than $100,000. So all that made me even more angry. And I talked to a few of my mentors, and they said that you really need to meet other people that are where you want to be. You need to read books by people that are where you want to be. So it's very important to change your circle. And I hate to say that, but at some point you might have to diminish or reduce people that you're talking to that give you the negative thoughts or negative advice or stuff like that. So again, it's very important to change your circle. And I know it sounds a little bit mean, but it's true. It's very important to change your circle and not be negative. And read a lot of books about positive thinking, because I'm telling you, your mind is so powerful. And when you read a book, don't just read a book and not do anything. Because for me, when you say take action, you actually have to take action. For me, actually reading a book or listening to a podcast is not taking action. Taking action is actually saying like, okay, I'm going to start investing in this. I'm going to open that brokerage account. I'm going to do this. Don't just read a book and be like, oh, I read 12 books this month. No, read a book and apply whatever you have learned from the book. But again, it's so important if you have issues working on your mindset, there's so many podcasts on mindset, on positive thinking. Mel Robbins, there's so many of them that can help. But again, not just listen, you have to apply what you have learned. But it can change your circle. Go ahead and find a mentor. Go on Facebook, Instagram. Go ahead and talk to people. Because sometimes we think that a mentor is someone that we have to actually meet. Sometimes you can find someone on Instagram that you look up to, or Facebook, and just go from there. Go to their events, meet people that are where you want to be in life.
Gotcha. That makes a whole lot of sense. So somebody is listening to this, they have debt. What do you recommend they do, or what steps do you recommend they take to start the process of reducing the debt service they have? Or how do they go about getting to a position where they're planning to pay the loans off in 20 years and all of a sudden they change it? Okay, I want to pay it off in 8 or 7 or 6 years. What is the process that someone has to go through, not only from a mindset perspective, but you have to make changes in your life? What are some of those changes that have to be made?
The first thing is your goals. What are your goals? Where are you trying to go? Yes, we all want the nice cars, the nice, the nice vacations, whatever it is. What are your goals? Not someone else's on Instagram. What are your goals? What do you want in 5 years, in 10 years? Yes, you might say that, oh, I want to retire from dentistry in 10 years. Why? What are your goals? Be specific, okay? And I'll tell you that when I was getting out of debt, I was so specific. I would say, By December 12th, 2012, I will pay $30,000 towards my student loans. That's how specific I will be. Like, be very, very specific. But again, the first thing is your goals. You have to know where you're going. The second thing, because, okay, you can say, like, okay, goals is the first thing. But again, be specific about your goals. I cannot stress that enough, because sometimes we just be like, oh, I wanna make more money. How much? Be specific. Do you wanna make $10,000 a month? Be very, very specific. That's huge. The second thing is, I hate saying the word. I'm like even hesitating. Have a budget. And I know people hate that B word, but you need to know how much money you're making and how much money is coming in every single month. I was amazed to see how many doctors who don't know how much money they make every single month, or how much money they spend towards groceries. How much the car payment usually they know, but groceries, eating out, they don't know. One of my clients, she was paying about $1,000, spending about $1,000 in food, eating out, just eating out. That's not even, and then there's groceries on top of that. But again, you won't know for sure unless you go back to your bank statements. I know it's painful, but you got to do it. Go to your bank statements, just the last 3 to 6 months, and look at what you're spending money on. It's your money. It's okay. There's no shame in that. It's your money. Just to look at how much money you're spending on Amazon, how much money you're spending on cable. By the way, you shouldn't have cable, but anyway, how much money you're spending towards shoes, whatever it is. It's just to know where your money is going, so that you can better allocate where your money should be going, so that you can really pay off the debt quickly and invest at the same time, so you can have the life that you want. So you can practice dentistry how you really would like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know you're talking about looking at your personal side, but you also have to look at your business side as well. And if you have your own practice, how much are you spending on marketing? Is the marketing working? If not, make changes. You have to know how much money is coming in. There are so many, and I talk about it a lot on this podcast. There are so many dentists I speak with, and they have no idea the numbers. They don't know their numbers. They don't know what their overhead is. They don't know how much they're spending. They don't even look at the day sheet to see. They just look at the bank statement and see how much money's coming in. They don't understand that in their business. And I think in order to, I think it goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. In order to pay off the debt faster, you have to understand the numbers of your practice to see what you can afford to put towards that debt service that you're going to have, whether it's personal debt, which is a school loan, or a practice debt in that case. So I think numbers are important. I'm also a huge fan of goal setting. I think people on the podcast know that I set goals when I was 10 years old. I have a picture of it that I did when I was in elementary school. And at age 49, I've now achieved all of those goals, including retiring from dentistry by the age of 50. I'll be retiring in the next few months. So, I'm a huge goal setter. I think it's really important. I think you also have to write your goals down. You can't just, but I love what you said, that you have to be specific with the goals that you set. Just saying you want to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? You have to put a number on it. So and I think even more importantly is, what do you do when you achieve those goals? You celebrate. You celebrate all wins, all positivity, because then you're going to want to set another goal and celebrate again. That's the reward you get. So I'm a firm and 100% believer in what you just said. So I'm curious. Take an example. You have a lot of stories. You work with a lot of doctors. I know you said you did $250,000 in 4 years. Can you give some other examples and some of the ways or some of the changes these people made, very specific examples of what they did differently to take the money and pay off the debt versus doing something else in their lives?
Yes. And I'll call Dr. R. There's one dentist, Dr. R. So she was able to go from one income, and when I say one income, her dentist income, to 4 streams of income, meaning 4 different streams of income. And again, the first thing is realizing that you are tired, or that you just want change. And again, the mindset is the first thing. And realizing that you don't have to just do dentistry. There are other things that you want to do. If you want to become a realtor, if you want to invest in real estate, in the stock market, those are things that you can do. If you want to be a TikTok sensation, whatever it is, you can do those things, and those can give you income. And there's another dentist, we call her Dr. D, and she's newly married, and she's happily married and all those things. She doesn't have any children, but she has a lot of debt, about $400,000 in debt. And she wants to open her practice, and she's like, "How do I do all those things? Because I want it all, pretty much." Again, we had to go back to the mindset, and now she's tripling. Yes, she has tripled her dentist income just by implementing having multiple streams of income. Because at some point, you do realize that there's only so much dentistry that you can do. There's only so many teeth you can pull, so many root canals you can do, so many fillings you can do, until you're like, I'm tired, or I want more. And sometimes that more might be, or actually has to come from multiple streams of income, in my experience.
Is it more so, and I think you just said it as I was going to ask you, the reason that these offices or doctors are able to pay off the debt faster is they're actually creating additional streams of income to help them do that. It's not necessarily that they're staying with the same income and they're changing their ways of spending. That probably has something to do with it as well. But they're actually creating additional streams of income, which, and again, just to be very frank, that's what I did many times over. So I was able to retire from dentistry at 49 years old, because I created those other streams of income that actually exceeded what I was making in my dental practice. So I understand that conceptually what you're talking about, but that's what it is. It's really creating additional streams of income. And I'm sure you're talking about various things there with another business type or investing, real estate investing. Those are what you're referring to here, correct?
Yes. And there's so many ways to have other streams of income. And I have many clients who are associate dentists. They have no interest in becoming owners. And I said, that's fine. But there are other ways to own. You can own stocks. To me, that's ownership. You're still owning something. You can invest in business. Even though it's not your business, you can invest in other people's businesses. There's so many ways to have streams of income. And even when I say real estate, you don't have to buy a property, because a lot of people, they are a little bit intimidated whenever they hear real estate. They're like, oh no, I cannot be a landlord. There's so many ways to invest in real estate, even on a computer. And you don't even need a bunch of money. $50, $500, you can just start, really. All you need is, a Wi-Fi connection, really, at this point. But it can mindset. You need to get your mind right, pretty much like they say. You need to make a decision that you're ready to do more. And again, to take action, to not just read books, listen to podcasts, go to conferences, but you have to learn. Pretty much, when we go to CE courses, we have to apply what we have learned.
So I think a great statement there is, education without action is just entertainment.
Yes.
So you actually have to take action with what is being taught to you before you see results. And I think that's because I teach a lot of things that people look at me like, I got to do this. And then a month later, 3 months later, 5 months later, I reach out. Oh, I haven't done it yet. Well, you're not getting any results unless you actually do what we teach you to do. So that's what you're talking about, that they have to take action. And I love that.
And there is a dentist, actually, she's a pediatrician, sorry. She did not actually add too many streams of income. She actually just had to work on the budget to be able to, because she didn't realize how much money she was spending on luxury stuff. Designers, which is fine to do, but if you have a goal, because she told me, Dr. Clerisme, I want to be out of debt by the time I'm 40. And I'm like, how old are you now? And she had a lot of debt. And we just work on the budget for her. And again, even though, yes, I introduced her to multiple streams of income, it wasn't even really needed. It was just about really realizing how much money she was spending on things that were not really creating wealth for her. Because it's very important to be intentional with purchases. Focus on things that create wealth. Okay? And for me, it's so important. Ask yourself, did that purchase is it building me wealth? Pretty much. Ask yourself that question. And yes, it's okay to buy liabilities, meaning things that are not making you money. But at some point, if that's your goal, to have generational wealth, stay focused on that goal.
Yeah, it's similar to when people come to me and say, how do I make more money in my practice? Two ways. Increase your production, so do more dentistry, or decrease your overhead and make your expenses less. There's no other way to do it. So again, you have to figure out and I'm sure it's the same way in the personal life. You have to make more money. You have to find different income streams. So I'm curious, you're trying to pay off debt. You're also trying to create wealth. Okay. So if you're investing in some things, where do people put the money they have extra? Do they invest? Do they pay off the debt? what is your recommendations for people that are thinking about, well, I want to invest money so I have more money, but I need to pay off the debt as well. How do you figure that out? Does it matter what is it really a higher interest rate you're paying off? Talk to me about those things as well.
So I'll tell you my story. When I was getting out of debt, I always invested. I did not invest as I'm investing now, but I always invested. At least have an IRA or even a 401k, or at least have something towards retirement. Always, always, always invest. Now I'm investing about 80 to 90% of my income, a lot of it. So it's a lot that's invested. But again, when it comes to debt, if the debt is keeping you up at night, if your interest rate is closer to 5.9%, always try and pay that off quickly as you can. Regardless whether or not you're like, I just want to be aggressive and pay off the debt, please, please invest. Because I guarantee you that in several years or several years later, you're going to be like, I wish I had invested in Amazon. I wish I had invested in Tesla. Again, I'm just saying those names. I'm not recommending those stocks. I'm just giving examples here. But again, it's very important to invest at the same time that you are getting out of debt. And you don't need a bunch of money. $50. Even if you have Cash App, you can invest. If you have, open a Vanguard account, just take action and start investing. Every single month, put something towards a stock, towards a mutual fund, towards real estate. Every single month. And in several years, in 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be happier. Trust me.
Gotcha. So another thing I know we wanted to discuss was diversifying your income or diversifying where your income's coming from for peace of mind. So can you touch base on that, please?
In my mind, having one income is risky. And I think that when we look at the lockdown from March 2020, we're going to realize that a lot of us were scared. We're like, oh my gosh, I have to close my office. What am I going to do for 2 months? Relying on one income is risky. Having just one income is way too close to zero. So it's very important to use your paycheck and invest that paycheck. Meaning, don't use that paycheck to spend. And I think sometimes we're like, okay, I'm a doctor. I want to buy the house. I want to buy the car, which are good things, which is normal. I want those things for you. Those are good things. But again, you have to create the wealth early on. The earlier, the better. And some people might be like, I don't want children. I don't care about that generational wealth thing. Again, at some point, you're going to be tired of dentistry. Or there might be some disability, because I have worked with disabled dentists. So it's very important to invest early on, diversify your income. When you get that paycheck, don't just put it towards a debt or put it towards car payments. Don't pay other people first. Pay yourself first and then pay other people. Okay, put yourself first. It's okay. Be a little bit selfish. Pay yourself first and then pay everybody else. Again, make sure all of your bills are covered. You want to make sure that transportation is covered. Your mortgage and rent is paid for. Your utilities are paid for. Make sure that anything that's extra, okay, is taken care of after you pay yourself. And when I say pay yourself, I mean invest that money. Open a brokerage account. Invest in real estate. If you're not sure, you can hire a financial advisor where they can guide you. And on my website, I do have a checklist of questions to ask financial advisors to make sure you guys are a good match. Okay?
Gotcha. Though, I know there's a lot of people out there that struggle. They cause rifts in their marriage because money is always an issue. The money is like, talking about money is like taboo. And that's why people argue. So what do you recommend for people who say, well, I don't want to talk about money with my spouse because we argue about it? How do you recommend getting over that? Because I think that's a big part of this as well.
One of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make is who you marry. Let me say that again. One of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make is who you marry. I made a huge post about that one time. And it's so important, guys. And I have worked with a couple of clients that have gone through divorce. And it's several years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and they are still struggling now, on the verge of bankruptcy. It's serious, guys. One of the biggest financial decisions you make is who you marry. Talk openly about money. It's something that we use every single day. Don't be ashamed of it. It's something we use every day. And I always say it's two things that whether or not we want to address or talk about them, it's going to affect us. It's health and money. We have to talk about money openly. Again, someone that you're going to be sharing your life with, be open about it. And do consider premarital counseling, okay? Where sometimes they can bring up issues that you would have never thought about. Talk to an attorney about having a prenup. That's something else that you can talk about. And again, it's not about like, it's mine, I'm keeping my money. It's not about that. It's just about, it's good to talk about stuff like that when you're in love instead of having, trying to decide who gets what when everybody's angry, okay? Because I have seen some bitter divorces. And again, communication is key. Just talk openly about money. Even talk about it on your kitchen table. Really, talk about money. And and I know it sounds weird. I have dates with my husband where we just talk about our budget. We just talk about money. And it's the best thing ever.
It's good therapy. So we're going to get to how people can reach out to you once we finish up the podcast. I'm going to switch now to what I refer to as pod decks. It's a Q&A. I told you, Caroline, everything is appropriate. It's all about business here. So I'm going to read you some questions. You're going to answer them as quickly as you can. You don't need long, drawn out answers. But the first one we'll see is, what is one subscription you can't live without?
Amazon.
Okay. People always say Amazon or Netflix. So those are the two that people say. What do you think are 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
Resilience, compassion, someone who's a go-getter.
Okay, go-getter. Perfect. What deserves all your attention but seldom gets it?
Probably some members of my family. I don't know. Those questions are hard.
Hey, they make you think. If you had a chance to start your career over again, what would you do differently?
Invest earlier.
This is an interesting one. If you had a magic stick, what are 3 things you would change in the world?
People's heart. People's mind. Those are hard questions.
In the world, it could be anything. It's not that hard. World peace,
yes,
and hunger.
Yes, hunger. Yes. I'm from a third world country, so that's huge.
Yeah. So what book have you read multiple times and you highly recommend other people read?
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. There you go. She even had it ready for me from that. Think and Grow Rich. Perfect. What profession do you think is the most undervalued today?
Teacher.
Good answer. What is one thing that you will never give up on?
Love.
Who do you look to for advice or mentorship?
My mom.
What have you learned from the most successful person you know?
Always be you.
Okay. Do you have any favorite podcasts?
Other than yours? Wow. I'm huge on real estate, so I'm going to say Bigger Pockets.
Okay. And last question. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
My mom.
Perfect. See, that wasn't that hard. You did well. You did well. So, Caroline, what are some ways that people can get in touch with you? How do they find out more how you can help them?
Yes, Doctors Out of Debt, and that's doctors with an S, doctorsoutofdebt.com. You can find me there, and it's the same on Facebook, Instagram, but if you go on doctorsoutofdebt.com, you can send me a message and I will reply. And I do have a group coaching coming up September 21st, 2022, and in January, I'm going to have another one in 2023. Just send me a message. Come learn all about mindset, how to change your mindset, how to really know how to attract more money, how to know the best debt repayment strategies, how to really know how to tackle your budget. We have a live workshop on the course. And also I have speakers that talk about tax strategies because I think everybody wants to know how to pay less taxes legally. We talk about the speakers on real estate, speakers on stock market. There's a practice management session where we get CE credits. It's wonderful. Really, everything is covered for you to really know how to create wealth and get out of debt at the same time.
Perfect. Well, this was awesome. You made a great guest. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with the audience. I'm sure they'll take a lot from it. If you're listening or watching and want to find out more about what Caroline helps you with, please reach out to her. Doctorsoutofdebt.com is her website. Please reach out to her and tell her you heard about us or her through the Raving Patients podcast. I know she'll take good care of you. And I think everybody's ears perked up when we started talking about how much debt you're in and how easy it is, hopefully, to get out of it. So please check her out. Please let her know that you heard about us through this podcast. If you enjoyed the episodes, please share it. Please let your colleagues know. As always, please review us. Check out the sponsors, the doc sites, Dental Intelligence, and Cloud Dentistry. And as always, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next episode, thanks everybody for joining me. And Caroline, thanks so much for joining me as well.
Bye.